Wow. Thank you, Superintendent Booker. Thank you very, very much for that wonderful, wonderful wealth of information. It's been quite a couple years. Thank you for you and your entire team, the Gaston County School System, for helping the children of North Carolina do the best they possibly did in some of the oddest times in our
Representative
nation's
Torley,
history.
you were very gracious to meet them the other day. I'd like for them to stand up. Our leadership team is here today. If you all will stand up.
Admin team. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. We have about 5 minutes, so we're going to allot 3 if anyone has any questions of Superintendent Booker. But we are on the clock, so come 6 o'clock, whoever's in mid-stride, we're going to end and start with our comments. Any questions?
I don't have a question, Mr. Chairman, but I would like to make a comment.
Absolutely.
I thank you for the presentation. I think this is fantastic. I think we've seen the success that you guys are already having, and their ideas that certainly can be shared across the state from the programs that you have. I would also encourage you to find other similar programs that are out there and share those best practices and see what they're doing, what you're doing that you can share with them. And I'll share one from Union County.
In fact, sir, I was going to interrupt you and say Dr. Houlihan and I, we trade, Dr. Jackson, our over elementaries, took a whole team down to look at one of the great turnaround stories that's going on in Union County and talked to Drew, and we also chase the same money sometimes, so it's a little competitive. But yes, sir,
I was going to mention the Atrium partnership that we have and the Caramont partnership that you have, and anything that we can do to learn from one another on that would be much appreciated. And I mean, obviously we know that, healthcare, the trades, teaching, I mean, there's a number of examples out there where we've got to start developing a pipeline. We've got the students, we've got a tremendous opportunity to provide them with a career in their home communities if they so choose, and wherever we can find those opportunities is fantastic. So thank you for what y'all are doing.
Thank you.
Representative Hurley.
Thank you very much. My question is about the teacher assistants to teachers.
Yes.
What percentage was that? I think you said 40 of your teachers.
Well, we're able to afford to offer 40 of our teacher assistants that we will pay their tuition for them to transition and study to become teachers. And so we've opened that to a district-wide application process. This morning we had over 60 applicants as we're pursuing.
Thank you. That's good.
Representative Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 2 questions, if I can get them in. One of the things you referenced in your remarks was career and college readiness. North Carolina's been giving the ACT to high school juniors across the state for a number of years. If we go back to the last results before the pandemic, when we stopped the test, barely 30% of North Carolina juniors score on the ACT as being either college or career ready. My question is, from your perspective, do you have some recommendations or thoughts for us as to what ought to be done differently to move it up? Let's say we aimed for 40% to be college or career ready.
What a loaded question, sir. I will say the first reaction I have to that is no one assessment tells me the quality of a student. I could have a bad day. He could be asking me questions in such a way that I don't even understand them because it's not in the way of, but to say, how are we going to go from 30 to 40? I don't like to focus on one. I like to focus on the whole student. And how do we come around that student? Because when people start saying only 30%, well, there are a number of folks that are being forced to sit for that test that we already know have other issues prior to being, but they're made to take that test just like other people, and so that can skew a percentage. But I would say to you that I don't want to focus on making the ACT better when you have higher institutions already saying that we need that test because they're looking at the whole student and the portfolio of education that that student brings.
So essentially you reject the test, that it's not accurate in terms of reflecting.
I can't reject it because I will say I have a a child who got a pretty good scholarship because they scored very well in the ACT. But I will say that I don't reject it. I reject it as the one measure I want to evaluate a student on.
Okay. Maybe later you could suggest to us by email what other measures we might ought to use. My second question, if we've got time, you made reference to Gaston counties being number one in the credentials that were
Yes.
in the CTE area. About 8 or 10 years ago, we started giving bonuses to CTE teachers whose students got a certificate that would be recognized or of value. Do you find that program to be of value, or is it of little consequence in helping your students and your faculty with that?
Anything we can do to compensate our faculty, I'll applaud. But what I'll say to you, just as the passion you saw Dr. Hufstede exhibit, our teachers are passionate and they're not chasing a reward. They're chasing the reward of the student that comes back and is successful. But I will applaud always, because it's a pleasure for our career and technical education director to go around saying, you've got this and you've got this. So please compensate them. But I'll say they're in it for the enrichment of the student.
With that, Representative Blackwell, in Burke County, it's 5:58, so we're going to move into the comment period.